So back in December 2022, I made this thing called the angled mouse board. You know, this thing right here. I also made a video about a month later where I talk about making this thing and why I made this thing. Long story short, I was having pain in my arm from playing competitive FPS games using arm aim and wrist aim, and I built this thing hopefully to help remedy the problems I was having. Basically, it's just an angled board that I use beside me and use as a mouse pad. And the idea is that I would use my bicep and my tricep and my arm, and hopefully my arm and wrist would get better and I could still actually compete well enough against other players. And for the most part, it did just that. My arm did get better. Plus, this thing also let me understand more about what was happening with my arm and my wrist in a much better way, which I would like to talk more about in this video. So from January 2022 to November 2022, I was playing competitive FPS games almost daily, and I was having some pain and discomfort in my wrist and arm that gradually got worse over time. So I thought maybe I can come up with a solution or alternative for these problems. So in December, I basically built this thing out of some leftover compressed wood I had laying around. The idea was to not use wrist at all and only use my bicep and my tricep to move the mouse. And at first, it felt really weird. Imagine learning to use the mouse from day one again. But as I kept using it and playing more FPS games, single player and competitive, my aim did get better and I started feeling more comfortable. And about a month later, I made this video about making this thing, but I still had pain in my arm from earlier, and I had to stop playing for a while to let my arm heal back up to continue my testing with this thing. So I took about a month off from gaming to let my arm heal back up before I started using this board again. Once my arm was better, I started playing. And this thing was really awesome to use. I was comfortable, I had lots of control, I had a lot of room to move my mouse. I played Apex, Overwatch, Valorant, COD, Fortnite, Splitgate. All felt great to play. And when I would work out by doing arm exercises like push-ups and dips, my arm started getting better, faster, and more precise. Then I started to figure out how to make a video on how to make one of these. Things were going great. And then right around April, I stopped using it. To cut to the chase, my arm was fine. And the board didn't break or anything like that. As much fun and useful as this thing was, there were some compromises I had to make to using this thing. First, this thing is basically another piece of furniture, and it can be inconvenient to move around and adjust. Also, to use this thing, I had to remove the armrest on my desk chair to get it into a comfortable position. Now, I don't use armrests anyway, but it needs to be noted. And I had to put my keyboard on my lap because I could not fit this thing under my desk while using it. Now, with enough time and ingenuity, that could be remedied, but these are things that can be annoying just having this thing. Second is playtime. When I was using this thing, I would only get about a few hours of playing before I would run out of energy. Remember, I'm moving my arm with two big muscles using low DPI, which theoretically use more energy than using just my wrist or arm. Play hard enough and you will get worn out eventually. Third was using the right muscles to use this thing. Like I said, you're only supposed to use your bicep and your tricep to move the mouse. Well, there were times when I would press my arm against the board while playing, and afterward I would have pain in my armpit. Now, after working on muscle memory on my arm to not press against the board and only use my bicep and tricep, that wasn't an issue anymore. Plus, when holding the mouse, if I death grip the mouse, I would have hand cramps and have to stop playing until my hand got better. Now, the trick I figured out to get around this was to just hold the mouse, not death grip it, which it takes some time and practice to get used to, but there is definitely some discipline and muscle memory needed in using this thing. In theory, this thing almost makes competitive FPS gaming a physical sport. And using this thing for anything other than competitive FPS games, I personally didn't find comfortable, like editing videos or browsing the web was not comfortable at all. So overall, what do I think about this thing? Well, to be honest, I really feel this thing is really cool. Like every FPS game I played, I felt like I was playing an arcade game, which sounds weird. Like imagine using a steering wheel and pedals to play a racing game, or throttle, stick, and rudders to play a flying game. It was kind of like that. And instead of being hunched over a desk, I could just sit in my seat comfortably and just play. Also, I could use a lightweight mouse and a small keyboard, no different than what is available now. But like explaining the steering wheel and the joystick and throttle idea sounds like a niche or enthusiast thing, which is not for everybody. Well, if you made it this far in the video, I want to thank you very much for watching. As always, I'm Killer Tomato saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Y'all take care. Adios!